WrestleMania week is finally upon us, and if we take the time to reminisce on past WrestleManias, compare them to the up-and-coming card that is WrestleMania 30, talk about the past WrestleManias that we've seen, the experiences that we watched them in, and go relive the WrestleManias in full or relive matches in their entirety on the WWE Network. And of course, as you've seen from my past videos, I've watched WrestleMania 17, I've watched WrestleMania 19, and these are WrestleManias that I was not a fan for because, of course, I started first watching in April of 2008, so I was not around to watch these WrestleManias. I'm currently in the middle of WrestleMania 20, which I will hopefully be able to review later this week, so be on the lookout for that video. But like I said, I first started watching in April of 2008, so I just barely missed WrestleMania 24, and I've only seen snippets of 24, and I hopefully want to go back and watch WrestleMania 24 before WrestleMania 30 next week. I mean, even if I don't, I'll probably go back and watch it at some point anyway, because from the parts that I've seen of it, like the Money in the Bank ladder match, Taker and Edge, the Triple Threat WWE Championship match, HBK and Flair, I've basically seen the entire show, just at least the marquee matches. I've watched them on Comcast On Demand, I've watched them on YouTube, I've seen them on the WWE Network, I've seen them on DVDs and stuff, so I really enjoyed that WrestleMania, the different parts that I saw. Like I said, I was not a fan at the time, so I can't really comment on my experience of watching it. But I do remember, though, because I've told the story at least a million times, and I probably will tell it again at some point in the next few weeks when the anniversary, my fan-anniversary, so to speak, comes up, and I do a video on that. But I was just a massive fan of the USA Network at the time, dating back to, I think 05 or 06. I watched the USA Network all the time. I watched Monk, I watched Psych, Walker, Texas Ranger, all that kind of stuff. I remember seeing a commercial for WrestleMania 24 on the USA Network, and I wanted to watch it. I wasn't even a wrestling fan at the time. I just wanted to watch it. And I remember going into the channel because it was going to be at channel 500 or something. And then I found out you needed to pay $60 for it. So I'm like, maybe not. Maybe I'll hold off on WrestleMania this year. And I wasn't even a fan at the time. That's what was funny. But so fast forward 1 year later. I've already been a fan for about a year at this point. When WrestleMania 25 comes around, I was looking forward to the show. They built it up well. I now look back on it because it was the first DVD. I think it was the first WWE DVD I ever got, WrestleMania 25. I got it for my birthday later that year, that June. And I remember watching it back. I look back on it fondly. Nowadays, I really don't, because now I look back and look at how the card really wasn't all that great. But even still, though, it has its shining moments, of course. HBK versus Undertaker. So I was invited over to a friend's house to watch WrestleMania 25, and I was unable to make it. So at this point in time, the evolution of my pay-per-view viewing, I didn't watch any pay-per-views. I didn't buy any pay-per-views at the time. I only looked up the results on WWE.com, and then I went to Wikipedia because I realized that they updated the results quicker than they did at WWE.com, so I went there. And then I found out about WWE Universe. Now, WWE Universe, for those that aren't aware, at the time, for a number of years, was like WWE.com's version of Facebook and Twitter all rolled into one. And they had live chats, and you can write blogs and stuff. And I was a part of it at the time, and they had a live chat for WrestleMania 25 where they invited Howard Finkel, and he would type up the results, move by move, and stuff like that. So I was on the live chat. And so I was looking at the results on my computer. I don't really remember any of the other matches. I remember reading the results for the IC title match, the Money in the Bank, and being a bit disappointed that CM Punk won again, although it would later lead to an awesome heel turn, but that's another story for another time. I just remember reading the results for the Undertaker-Shawn Michaels match and just freaking out. I had a terrible cup of hot chocolate in my hand while I'm reading these results, and I read that Shawn Michaels hit the Sweet Chin Music, and I was freaking out like, oh, the streak's over. And when I read, and then he typed up that The Undertaker kicked out, and I spit my terrible hot chocolate all over the place. I think I put in too much water or something. It was terrible. So I spit it all over the keyboard or something because I was freaking out that Shawn Michaels hit the Sweet Chin Music, then The Undertaker kicked out of it. And such an awesome match that was, and obviously one of, if not the best match in WrestleMania history. So I look back on that now. Like I said, I have the WrestleMania 25 DVD now, and I go back and watch that. And just is such an awesome match, and easily the highlight of WrestleMania 25 for me. So that was my experience watching WrestleMania 25. WrestleMania 26, that same friend that invited me over to watch WrestleMania 25 invited me over to watch it again. He always bought the WrestleManias, and he bought this one as well. So this time I was able to make it to WrestleMania 26, to his house to watch WrestleMania 26, of course. And that day when we didn't, I think my brother drove me over there, and we got lost because his house was, I think, a half an hour or 45 minutes away from where I lived at the time. And we got lost on the way there, and I was freaking out. And I wanted to get there early at like 7. Even I wanted to get there around like 6 because I know the show started at 7 p.m. Eastern time, just in case they had a battle royal or anything on the pay-per-view, because I knew they had dark matches, but I didn't know if they aired them on the pay-per-view stream or not. But we ended up being like 30 minutes late to when I wanted to be there, and we ended up getting there only just a few minutes right before WrestleMania 26 started. And I was really relieved that I was able to make it in time. So I watched it with my buddy. We brought over snacks and whatever. It was really cool. I really enjoyed that WrestleMania. I thought it was a pretty good Mania. We just openly mocked the Bret Hart versus Mr. McMahon matchup, the terrible clusterfuck match that was. Just that one giant brawl. That was hilarious. I remember him being pissed about Batista entering first in the John Cena match when he faced him for the WWE title. And, of course, Batista was the WWE champion going into that matchup. And I just remember my friend being really pissed off that that Batista came out first because he was the champion, and usually the champions came out second and whatnot because that's just tradition. We are also really excited about the Chris Jericho versus Edge match, in that all the kickouts and whatnot, that was a really good match as well. And we were running around the house just going crazy because this was such a really good matchup, and they were kicking out of each other's finishers, and they shocked the world by having Chris Jericho go over. So that was fun watching that match. We were also openly mocking the the Money in the Bank ladder match when Jack Swagger, when it took him at least 30 seconds to finally unclip the Money in the Bank ladder match. And when you go back and watch it now, they edited it out so it's not as long. So they kind of cut the botch out of there. But we remember mocking that match, and the fact that there was only 2 people in the ring at the time, and there were 10 people in that year's Money in the Bank ladder match. So they would have people come in like every 2 seconds or every 5 minutes or so. They would have people, they would just switch them in and out, and we thought it was terrible because there were so many people, and it was such a train wreck of a matchup. I remember mocking that tag team match that started off the show with Show Miz against John Morrison and R-Truth and whatever the hell that was supposed to be. But and how we commented that was a match that we would rather see on Raw or something. And then when it came time for the main event, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, I knew that Undertaker was going over. I didn't think there was any chance in hell of Shawn Michaels winning, but we still really enjoyed that match. And it came time, because there were several points during the show that we had to pause it, and then of course you could do that, and then we could play it. And we didn't really care about watching it live, because at the time there was no Twitter, there was no Facebook, so I didn't really look online for results or tweet along with anyone. The only person I really talked to about the show was him at the time. So I didn't go online or anything, so I didn't really care to see what the results were if we paused the show and we watched it on delay. So that's basically what we did. When it came time to like 11 o'clock, we were only maybe halfway through the Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker matchup, and my mom was waiting. She picked me up, and she was waiting outside in the car, and she was calling me, and she was telling me to get going because it was a school night the next night, and we had to get going to go home because it took about 45 minutes to get home. So we needed to get home before midnight, and had I not left then, I wouldn't have gotten back, to go to bed and whatever. So, and she didn't want to make many exceptions at the time, so we rushed through the Shawn Michaels versus Taker match. We fast-forwarded a little bit just to try to get to the ending, and then we fast-forwarded too much, and we saw the ending of Undertaker doing a signature pose in the middle of the ring, and it said 18-0, and he paused it at the point where it said that Undertaker won. We just looked at each other for like 2 seconds, just thinking like, holy shit, we just spoiled the match for ourselves. But it didn't really matter. We knew Undertaker was going to win anyway. So we went back, we rewinded it a little bit. We watched the finish of that matchup with Undertaker going over, and just the tombstone and the show of respect afterwards, and that we witnessed Shawn Michaels' final matchup in WWE. So that whole night was really, really fun watching WrestleMania 26. I actually just bought WrestleMania 26 on DVD just a few short months ago, and this is, of course, before the network came out. So I'll probably watch that. Maybe not the DVD version, but on the network at some point. Maybe not before WrestleMania 2030 or WrestleMania 30, but maybe at some point afterwards, because that the experience of watching that show was really fun. WrestleMania 27 the next year, I really looked forward to. The card was looking up to be good. We had John Cena versus The Miz, and I'm a huge Miz fan, so I was looking forward to that. Edge versus Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship. We also had Undertaker versus Triple H. So I just remember in the weeks leading up to it, I was extremely excited for WrestleMania. I was really looking forward to it. They were hyping it up as the greatest Mania of all time. The Rock came back that year in 2011. So I was really looking forward to that WrestleMania. And of course, they hype every single WrestleMania up as the greatest of all time, so that was no shocker. But even so, though, I was really looking forward to that Mania. And that day, I think, that weekend, because of course WrestleMania is always on a Sunday. So the next day, I think I had an English project due, and that weekend for the life of me, I have no idea why I didn't start the project before the show. I didn't start the project ahead of time, so I was gonna do it, and I was over at someone else's house that weekend. So when I got home, I'm thinking, okay, when I get home, I'm gonna do this project, and I don't really care about finishing this project. I'll just do it another time. I'll just do it when I get home later after WrestleMania, and then just do it then because I want to see Mania. I can't skip Mania. Mania comes first. Stupid decision. Very stupid decision. Wrestling does not come before schoolwork. I'll just, this is a pre-warning, just a disclaimer. Schoolwork comes before wrestling. Just throwing that out there right now. And the WrestleMania, though, I think is an exception, but nonetheless, I got home and I did not have enough time to do the project beforehand. Before WrestleMania, I was like, shit. So when I just get home, when I get home from WrestleMania, I'll do it quickly. It's due tomorrow. And this is a big-ass project, too. I had to do a giant scrapbook of poems or something garbage like that for one of my English classes. So we go to WrestleMania, and we left late, too. So I was late for the opening matchup, and I was texting someone. They were telling me the results and whatever. So I missed, and I was pissed that I missed the opening matchup for the World Heavyweight Championship between Edge and Del Rio. It was a good matchup, and it ended up being Edge's final matchup, and I fucking missed it, and I was pissed about that. So I was really mad about that when I got there. And then I watched the show. It was an okay show. There were some good matches like Punk and Orton. I was a bit disappointed that none of the Nexus members came out and helped Punk win. That was a good match, but Orton winning, whatever. Triple H versus Undertaker, although a very, very good match. I enjoyed the WrestleMania 28 match more, and I'll get to that in a moment. This match just kind of bored me because I knew Taker was going over, so that was okay too. Cena versus Miz sucked. So the overall experience of watching WrestleMania 27 just was not good for me. I did not enjoy WrestleMania 27 all that much, if at all. I think it's the worst WrestleMania of the PG era thus far. And I just did not enjoy the WrestleMania at all. So when I got home later that night, and I was also pissed too that Sheamus and Daniel Bryan didn't get on the card. So when I got home, I was like, fuck it, not even going to do this project. So I didn't even bother doing it. And I ended up doing it like a couple days later and got like a D on it or something because I waited until like Thursday to hand it in because I couldn't miss Raw the next night either. But even still, just a pre-warning. If you have any homework due the day after WrestleMania, make sure to do it beforehand because you're probably not going to want to do it during WrestleMania, before Mania, or after Mania. So just letting you know now. WrestleMania 28 came around. I was probably more excited for this WrestleMania than any of the other WrestleManias, WrestleMania 25, 6, or 7, any Mania that came before WrestleMania 28, because it was looking up, it was being set up to be an amazing show. We had Rock versus Cena being hyped up for a year in advance. We had The Undertaker versus Triple H in a Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. We had Jericho versus Punk for the WWE Championship. We had Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan for the World Heavyweight Championship. So this stacked card was absolutely awesome. Could not wait again for it. Oh, no, I forgot to mention this too. WrestleMania 28, or WrestleMania 27, I didn't watch it at that same friend's house. I went to a WrestleMania viewing party because my buddy that year ended up buying like a drum set or something, and he ended up getting that instead of buying WrestleMania. So I went to someone else's house for it, and that's the same house that I went to watch WrestleManias 27, 28, and 29. So that was where I went again this year for WrestleMania 28. And what was I going to say? So we got there late too, just like we did for WrestleMania 27. I ended up arriving late to WrestleMania 28. And I missed the opening match. I didn't miss the opening matchup because this time they waited until everyone got to the WrestleMania viewing party. It was me, my brother, my dad, and a few other people that were there at the party. Of course, the people who had the house, and just several other people. So they waited until everyone got there to start the show. So we watched it on delay a little bit. And we watched the world title match, how it lasted 18 seconds, and how it wasn't the match that everyone expected to be, and Sheamus was the new world champion, whatever. So people were texting me before that even happened. When I got to the house, we were waiting there. We waited for everyone to get there to watch the show so we could watch it on delay. People were texting me like, WTF, this is garbage. What the fuck just happened? Why did we get an 18-second title match? People were just telling me this is garbage. I didn't know what they were talking about. Then after I saw the match, I'm like, oh yeah, that was pretty terrible. So I had to stay off Twitter and Facebook for most of that night so I didn't get spoiled by any of the matches because, like I said, we were watching it on delay. And at the time, I had an app on my phone that was for Facebook, or not for Facebook, for Bleacher Report. And all of a sudden, they randomly decided to give me an update on the results of the pay-per-view after all this time. And I had this app for maybe 2 or 3 years before this. And out of nowhere, they just decided to give me this random result from the show, and it said CM Punk defeated Chris Jericho, and this was before I got to the result of the matchup, and I was like, fuck, it just spoiled the matchup for me, and I was so pissed. And so I deleted the app immediately because I didn't need it. I was like, a fucking app spoiled the match for me. And it was a really good matchup, so I didn't really spoil it for me all that much. And I was thinking of maybe points in the matchup, like maybe I read this wrong, maybe Jericho actually won. I don't really know. And Punk did end up winning. But anyway, that was a great matchup. Rock and Cena, we just fast forwarded through the entrances from Flo Rida and who's on the song? The guy, whoever sang Invincible for the WrestleMania 28 theme song, Machine Gun Kelly, he sang the entrance for John Cena. We just skipped through that BS and just got straight to live with Rock and Cena. And when Rock went over clean, I was extremely shocked. I was like, wow, Rock just went over clean. So I remember walking out of the apartment, the place that we went to watch the show, and I was like, that was an awesome WrestleMania. Now the way home, I'm tweeting like, this is a great WrestleMania. Really enjoyed it. Rock just won. Can't wait to see what happens next. And so I really enjoyed WrestleMania 28. I think that was the best WrestleMania of the PG era to date, in my opinion. WrestleMania 29, not exactly the same thing. WrestleMania 29, I was also excited for. I'm always excited for WrestleMania, even this year, even last year when the card wasn't being set up to be all that great. And in the weeks going into it, a lot of people were saying, myself included, like, well, the card isn't all that great. We got Del Rio versus Swagger. Taker versus Punk should be great. Rock versus Cena again. So all this stuff. And I was thinking, maybe this WrestleMania, it could go either way. It can be either really good or just really bad. And it ended up being the latter because it felt like a glorified episode of Raw. And once again, we went to that same house that we did for WrestleMania 27 and 28 to watch WrestleMania 29, and this time we did not get there late. I got there late to watch the pre-show, so I didn't watch the pre-show between Miz and Barrett. Someone just tweeted me the result of that match, but we did get there in time to watch the show live, to watch the show in its entirety and not on delay for the first time in ever since we first started going to this place to watch WrestleMania. So we were watching WrestleMania, good show. It was the first hour was fine with Fandango and Jericho. We had The Shield versus Big Show, Randy Orton, and Sheamus. We had few other matches. I can't remember what the hell else was on that show, but it just felt like a glorified episode of Raw. Like when Rock and Cena came down, when it came down to Rock versus John Cena, we knew the 8-person tag team match wasn't happening, and I was joking that they what was I gonna say, that they put it to the main event instead of Rock versus Cena. So I thought that was hilarious. Rock versus Cena, I really did not enjoy that matchup as much as I did their first encounter at WrestleMania 28. And then after John Cena won and they shook hands and all that garbage at the top of the ramp, I just remember being really disappointed with that WrestleMania. WrestleMania 27 was just, I don't know. WrestleMania 27 was, I think, the biggest disappointment and was the single worst WrestleMania, in my opinion. WrestleMania 29, it just wasn't a disappointment because I expected it possibly to be bad. So I got what I asked for in the sense that it was what it was. And just a sense that I just did not enjoy that WrestleMania at all. Like I said, felt like a glorified Raw. But the one plus of that show is that it can't get any worse than WrestleMania 29. So WrestleMania 30 should be that much better, even if it doesn't live up to the expectations. I expect it to be a really good show. I've been getting more excited for WrestleMania 30 in the last few days, or in the last few weeks, than I have been in the last few months and whatnot. John Cena versus Bray Wyatt looks awesome. We have Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. The feud itself has been a joke, but the match itself should be really good. We have, what else do we have at WrestleMania 30? We have Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, which should be awesome. The triple threat match of the World Championship, which should be awesome. So I'm looking forward to the entire show, WrestleMania 30. It's the 30th anniversary, people. Can't be any more excited for it. So hopefully you enjoy the WrestleMania 30 show as well. Hopefully you watch it live, you watch it on the network like I will be. I'll be watching it here in my dorm as opposed to that same place that I watched WrestleManias 27, 28, and 29. Because I'm at college at the moment, so I can't watch it there. But I will be watching it here on the network. Hopefully my shitty internet connection doesn't bug out and whatever, and the stream's okay. But feel free to comment below with any WrestleMania experience that you watched, your first WrestleMania, what you remember watching, or what you remember from watching it from it live, your favorite WrestleMania moments, all that great stuff. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe as well, as always. And enjoy WrestleMania. This is GSN, signing out. Till next week, guys.